Hello, everyone. I am Jerome Martin, and welcome to the Lightship Chronicles. On today's episode, I have Amanda Kish with me today. Amanda is an energy healing facilitator, and she is one of my students that I've trained in the Lightship technologies. Welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
So, on today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the experiences that you've had up on the lightships with the ETs of the light or other beings that have showed up. So my first question for you is, when we go up on the light ships, what is that initial experience like? What is it like going from, this earthly plane shifting up into this higher state of consciousness or this interdimensional space?
Well, as an energy healer, like I definitely feel it very strongly. Often I can feel different sensations, emotions, but also visually, like lots of sensory intake that's happening. Sometimes it's audio coming from all different senses. So it's quite the experience.
So just so I'm clear about this, because I want people to understand, when we're going up into these light ships, we're not physically going up there with our physical bodies. It is a part, there's a part of ourselves that's going up there. It's a part of your consciousness. It's almost like bilocation where you're still in your physical body, but a part of you goes up there. When you go up there, though, you do experience it with your senses, right? So you, like you're saying, visual, audio. What is it like when you first go up into the ship, when you first enter into, the receiving area, when we go up there? What is that like?
It's almost like those virtual reality screens. Actually, the way it's coming in, the information that you're receiving, I find it a full sensory experience. I feel things in the body, and there's so many visuals, so many different colors that we don't even really normally see here. So it's definitely quite the sensory experience.
Okay, so when we're up in the light ship, and I know there's lots of things we do up there where there's med bed technologies, there's all sorts of different stuff up there. But when we're having the first initial contact and we're, accessing the star team for the first time, what is that like when they first make contact with you? Is it a visceral experience? When they're communicating, do you hear it like how we're speaking with words, or is there some other means of communication?
Most of the time it's visuals, but I also hear things like internally as well. I'm feeling a lot of different sensations and I receive a lot of information just by feeling it, by sensing it, and also getting knowings of what. So I would say more telepathically that I'm receiving information as well as knowings or as words, but also hearing.
So I just want to clarify that because it's the same way that I receive it is when the telepathic message comes through, a lot of times it's like a visual sensation, almost like a movie that you see, but then what you're being shown, you then get knowings about what it is that you're receiving.
Yes.
And that can be sort of interesting for the first time because, as humans, we're used to communicating with words and, sitting there and thinking, what is this thoughts? But when this comes through, it's like a download that comes through that seems to be a lot larger. It seems like it's like a larger bandwidth of information that comes through. Is it overwhelming the first time?
I didn't find it overwhelming, but I found that I did receive some information afterwards as well. It's like what you can kind of handle and take in is what seems to come through. And as you're kind of pondering it later on, more information comes through too.
The first time that you experienced this, um, what type of emotions were present? Were you afraid at all, or was there any other type of emotions when you first made contact with these beings?
I didn't feel any fear at all. I could feel like an intellectual connection as well, and that they were very supporting and guiding on the journey. So there was no fear. It was more of like childlike interest in what was happening, like it was exciting. And as the information came through, it was never like you never felt unsafe at all, just that you were experiencing teaching on a different level.
What are some of the things that they taught you when you were up on the light ship?
Definitely, I was given some tools, how to use them, how to use more of my gifts in different ways. Also, lots of information that was new, so it was kind of putting those into play later on in my practices.
Would you mind sharing what some of those gifts were that they shared with you, or the tools they gave you?
I can for sure. One was definitely something to do with my energy clearing and how I can expand on that. So, one of the tools I was given was a staff, and that was very much used for using my energy healing in different ways, but also in a more expanded and powerful way. So, it's
Beautiful.
almost like the process was simplified and made easier, but more powerful.
So what with this staff, when you're using it, is this a visualization technique, or is how is it that you operate this tool when you're using it in your clearing work?
Basically, I was presented with the staff first, and then it was integrated into my body. And then energetically, I was able to shift and change things just by locking into the energy of that staff.
Beautiful. And so it's almost like when they present you the energy, there's almost like a frequency or an encryption or some sort of something that a sensory feeling of having that item, and then by recreating that sensation, you're able to wield that technology.
Exactly. Exactly.
Beautiful. Um, what are some other things that you may have been shown or learned up there?
There was a harp that I received as well, and that has to do with my light language. So, again, I received it internally, almost like a download or a program, and it has expanded my light language. And it's nothing that I really had to do or change, it just came through me.
So it's almost like a program file that you receive and then downloads, then it like upgrades an application almost.
Yes,
So
yes.
so it's like an update for an application, sort of giving it like a new operating system or just like some sort of update.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's how
Very
I would describe it perfectly.
very cool. And so what types of beings were up there? When you were up there, did they look like ETs? Did they look like other were there angels? Did they look humanoid like we would see on TV, or did they look some other way? If you could just describe to me what some of these beings, how they presented themselves.
I wouldn't say that they look like typical ETs. Some were interesting as I perceived them. Definitely some angelic beings, but also some galactic beings where they would look humanoid, but with different characteristics, like long white hair and different things like that. The clothing was different, but again, the energy was very supportive and very safe. So I wasn't worried about how they appeared.
So when you are up there and you're with these beings, are there any of the same beings, or was every single one of them different?
Thinking back, most of them were different in variety. There may be one or two that were similar, but there would be something different about them as well.
Very good. Um, After the first contact experience working with these beings, were you able to recontact them on your own afterwards?
Yes, yes. The process that I was guided through by you was exceptional in connecting back to them. So you can kind of grow a relationship with them. You can learn as much as you can with them. And then sometimes they shift out.
Very good. What was the most prolific experience aboard the lightship from any of these beings? What was the one that stood out the most?
Definitely the one with the long white hair. There was some sort of resonance within me, like I connected to that energy that I have been a similar being before. So that was very much a knowing, and I had full body chills. So it was quite the experience.
What is it like when you're contacting them afterwards? Is it the same as it was the first time? When are you, do you go up into the ship and you're able to experience them again, or do they communicate differently after the first initial contact?
I find personally differently afterwards. Like I can also connect to them for specific requests of information. I can also access them through my heart space as well. So there's still a bit of a telepathic link is what the way I would describe it.
And so, for those that aren't familiar with telepathy, can you describe I know we talked a little bit about it, about how it's different senses. Is it always the same when they communicate, or does it come through differently with each one, or a variation?
It's kind of a variation and it is different. It seems to come, the information comes through in the way that you're going to understand it. So sometimes it's a combination of like hearing, but also seeing and knowing. Other times it's just a knowing or you see it, and sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it seems to be however you receive that information best.
And for me, that's always how it has happened as well. It'll come through in the way that's best suited for you. And so it's almost like your senses, your clair senses will take the information and make sense of it for you in the way that's best for you to understand. And it's interesting because, the same being might communicate multiple different times, and each time they communicate, it's a variation, or it's different. It's not the same.
That's exactly it. And I find that they connect it to things that you are familiar with and that you would understand too. Like there's nothing that is very foreign where you're left kind of wondering what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to describe it. Um, how many times have you gone up on the light ship?
Oh gosh, it's including with you and on my own, it's probably been about 40 or more times.
So besides the times that you've gone on the ship with me, have anything else interesting happened aboard the ship besides them like speaking information to you or giving you tools? What was your most memorable experience?
There's definitely been information that I've received either to assist with a client that has been really beneficial, or even on my own journey. I'm finding that by connecting to these beings on the light ship, I'm given clarity on my path as well. So that has been a huge tool that I don't think we have otherwise. So to me, that was very profound. Often I find it's hard to receive information for myself. I can receive a lot of information for others. So this really highlighted that I can receive information for myself in this manner.
How has this affected your practice day to day? I know that you work with clients, and what has this done for your practice?
Some of the processes that I've gone through, I'm finding right now, the inner child healing has been amazing. You're connecting to, for a lot of my clients who don't remember their childhood, and it just brings forward information without them having a knowing of this information. So, and it's an experience for them, and the amount of healing that comes through is indescribable. Every client that I've connected with that I've taken through this process, and it's unique for each person, has been life-changing.
That's something that I've experienced as well with people where a lot of times before the inner child healing aspect of it, that they don't remember much of their childhood. And after going through the process, which is that initial process is like, the onboarding, or it's how we even get up onto the ship first. When that happens, it's like all the memories just they come flooding back, they come rushing back, and then they remember all the gaps, they remember all the things that, happened. And what does it seem like that does to a person in the long run?
It changes them and it helps them to realize how things have affected them, because sometimes it will repeat in patterns and they're recognizing it because they can remember those memories. But it also comes without the trauma of it. Like they're looking at it through a third person point of view. So even though they're viewing it, they're receiving the information, but not bringing forward anything if it was, a difficult experience.
Beautiful. So you've actually just been trained in using this technology yourself, where now you're starting to bring clients yourself up into the light ships to be able to have experiences with these ETs. What has that been like for you, bringing other people and starting to facilitate this work?
I'm really enjoying it. It's literally a very sensory experience. Neither of us know what to expect, but it's always different, it's always unique, and it's always life-changing.
What are some of the experiences, if you don't mind sharing, that some of your clients have had up on the light ships?
They have had connected to past lives that they had no idea that they've experienced before. They've seen soul family members in different forms, like how they know them in their human forms in this life. They appear as either galactic or even coming from past lives or different things, even angelic. So it's a full sensory experience for me as the facilitator and for my client.
And then obviously the transformation that they have, is above and beyond. What is the best experience that you've had so far with a client up on the light ship, if you don't mind sharing?
Definitely connecting to the fairy realm. Actually, that was fairies seem to have, in some cases, a negative connotation. I mean, often they're perceived as beautiful, and the way this one showed up and how she is helping my client in this life was profound. It's changed how she looks at everything, nature, how she looks at her life in its capacity, how she interacts with her family and friends. Like it was really life-changing for her.
That's amazing. Are there any beings that show up on these light ships that you wouldn't expect to be up there?
Definitely. Like it was a version of myself actually, and I was a warrior and I was a green furry being. So that was that was surprising and interesting, but I was all for it. It was amazing to see myself in that form and shape and not what I expected at all.
So this modality of bringing people up on these light ships to make this first contact, who would you recommend that this is for? So if someone was looking for this experience, is there anybody that is not qualified for this, or is there anyone that would be better suited for than another?
Um, I found it very helpful that I was already an energy healer. I found the process went quickly. Just to have an open mind would be very beneficial, but I don't consider it closed off to anyone. Our journey might be longer or shorter to go through each step, but as long as you're open-minded, I really think it's available to everyone. And you heal as well along the way, so it's beneficial to all parties. And as I had mentioned, the inner child healing has been profound in the way it has changed a lot of my clients. And with some other modalities I was using, it would have taken a lot longer to get to the end result.
Beautiful. And I know this is still a developing process for you. I want to know when you're up on the light ship, have you been introduced to anything that any other technologies or anything besides the initial contact? Have they shown you anything else up there besides, just upgrading you or working with clients? Is there anything else on the ships that you care to mention?
Definitely some devices. So it seems like they're showing me in little pieces and steps because it is more of a concept for my brain to wrap around.
Mhm.
But yeah, some very interesting technology, and it gets you very excited about the future and what we can possibly do with it. So very
Very,
exciting.
very good. Very good. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience about these experiences up in the light ship before we wrap up today?
Well, I definitely highly recommend it. Once you try it, there's no going back. And I find it very beneficial for healing as well. Like the med beds and everything like that are just amazing. And the way you're gently guided through processes, it's all very supportive. Um, and they adjust to you and what you're able to process at that time. So I highly recommend it. And if you are a healer, very beneficial for expediting and healing your clients and assisting with that.
When you're up on the light ship, I know you've had all these different experiences. Like you said, you've been up there over 40 times. Have you ever felt not safe at any point in an experience up on these ships?
No, there hasn't been one moment where I have even second guessed anything. It's, yeah, you're fully supported. the whole time. There's all these beautiful beings of light, and I do find it just an amazing experience. It makes you want to go back more often
Very good.
and help
Yeah.
more people.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because some people, when we talk about this type of contact, some people are
Mhm.
apprehensive because, people have had, non-positive experiences with extraterrestrials. I myself, in the beginning of my journey, have had abduction experiences by the Greys where I was taken against my will, and there was a harvesting of genetic material and different things like that, and that was a really like scary, traumatizing experience for me. And it makes you apprehensive to working with ETs at all because if you have one bad eggs, or what they say, what one bad experience can ruin it for the rest. And so
That's exactly it.
that's something that I experienced, and then this really changed my mind about engaging ETs at all. And so I just want to let people know that when they have these experiences, that they are safe, that you are in a safe space, and that these beings have your best interest at hand when they're doing this work.
Exactly. And you have a facilitator that is guiding you when you go in as well, which is very beneficial. They can explain and describe things as you go in there, so you're supported on all levels. I as well have dealt with dark ETs and had my own experiences as well as a child. I definitely had interactions with dark ETs, so I do know the fear of it. And I am definitely saying that I have felt no fear whatsoever during this experience. And that's why I continue to go back. That's why I continue to use these processes with my clients, because it is all very safe, all very supported.
When you were younger and you were having those experiences with the dark ETs, what does that do to like your psychology or your psyche, growing up and then, later having these experiences? What is that like? Because, as a child, if you have these types of experiences, and you try to tell somebody, a lot of times someone will say, "Oh, it's your imagination," or "It's a bad dream," or this, that, and the other. How does that sort of shape you, as a child growing up? How has that affected you into your adult years?
Well, it caused me to shut off my gifts multiple times because I was like, no, we are not going there. I am not going in that direction at all. So it can be terrifying. When I was a kid, there's always a funny story that my parents tell where I always tried to sneak into their bed at night. It was because I was terrified, but I also never told anybody. I had my parents are so loving and amazing and supportive, but I knew they would not understand, or that I would be told it was just my imagination, it was just a nightmare, that kind of thing. But it is very real, very intense when you're in it. So to be able to again do these processes now, I'm open to it, I'm willing to do it, and I know that the power of the light is more powerful than the dark.
My question for you is now looking back at those experiences that you had as a child, do you recognize or do you know which beings they were that were coming to you and that were, trying to have an effect on you at a young age?
Yes, like I like you, definitely the grays as well.
Hmm.
There were also darker entities and things like that too, where it was almost like a darker energy. I've had interactions with shadow people, people in black, that kind of thing as well. So, shadow people, when they describe that as sleep paralysis, no, I was very conscious with
Hmm.
everything that was happening, but we do have the power to, with the laws of the universe, to say, I take control and you need to leave now. But with as a kid, you don't really understand that. So I think this process is also beneficial for us as adults to experience these things, so we can let our kids know that if you are experiencing something like this, you are in a safe place, in a supportive space where we understand what you're seeing and it's not your imagination.
I had, some of these experiences growing up as well. What do you think that these beings are trying to accomplish when they make contact with us at this young age? What do you think their agenda is? Do you think it's part of some sort of hybridization? Do you think it's they're trying to instill fear in us? They're trying to influence in some way? What do you think the purpose of this contact in an early ages?
I think on all levels that you explained, but definitely to stop us from fulfilling our missions, stop us from connecting to the light beings that we are, stop us from opening up to our gifts and our abilities and everything like that.
Yeah, so that's something that I believe as well. I think that these dark ETs, they see our potential. A lot of these beings are not operating through time like we are, where it's like, a linear timeline. They're operating in different dimensions, different parallel realities simultaneously. And so a lot of times these beings, they see our future potential, and then they will try to affect you before you reach that potential to try to like, shift your path or your timeline. If they can instill fear in you and make you afraid of aliens or afraid of these different things, then you might not ever at all access these higher realms and not access these beings and your potential and shy away from it completely.
Exactly. And like I said, it wasn't just one experience where I shut it off. I shut it off multiple times. And just knowing that we are, as the light, more powerful, and when we do open up and connect to our abilities, there's so much we can do, so many people we can help. And that's definitely what the darker ETs are doing, is trying to stop that process, instill fear, make us think that we aren't as powerful as we are.
Since you've been working with the ETs, what has made you feel the most powerful? Has it been abilities that you've gained from them? Has it been your use of this? Has it been bringing people up into the light ships yourself? What has made you feel like you've got the most, I don't want to say power is a bad word, but, this elevation in your frequency, what has given you the best feeling of that?
Definitely with helping my clients. It the changes in them have been exponential, and I'm here to facilitate and assist with that. And it's just such a beautiful, rewarding, healing process for both of us as we go through this. And realizing also from those attacks when I was younger, and that I am connecting to my gifts and my abilities, all the people that I can help.
And so I feel the exact same way with all of the ability that I've gained from working with these different ETs. For me, I feel like I am the most in my power as well when I'm serving others. The technology has all of these different uses and purposes. There's technology to manifest, like you said, to heal, to affect timelines, activate DNA, all these amazing things. But for me, I feel the strongest when I'm doing it for somebody else. So when you're enabling somebody else and awakening their gifts, their abilities, or helping them heal through a process, that's when I feel like I'm most rooted in my power is when I'm in service.
Exactly. And just the information receiving and the ways that we can help people has just been so beneficial with this process, and how it speeds things up exponentially. Like if it took a long time, there's a lot of people that wouldn't want to go through the process. We are humans in this earth plane, and our attention is a little shorter, so if we're not seeing the results, we're not going to continue with it. So I find with this method, people are seeing the results, they're feeling the results, they're experiencing the results, and their outlook on life and humanity and the world has changed as well with this experience.
That's something that's really important to mention is that when you go up in the space, even if you're up there for an hour, 2 hours, it's like a I don't know. It happens. It happens so quickly. You can
Mhm.
shift and evolve and grow at such a rapid rate in these higher dimensional spaces, and it's just I'm still amazed every time that I go up there, the shifts that take place not only in myself but others.
That's exactly it. And experiencing these beautiful beings of light is just, it's eye-opening as well. It expands you, it expands your heart space as well. And just thinking how much is out there is a beautiful thing.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Amanda. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences, and thank you everyone for watching today. This is another episode of the Lightship Chronicles, and I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.